We still got 4 beautiful viewers, so thanks for with us.
Okay.
Okay, so my name is Michaela Lacey. I am the community connector and volunteer coordinator with Fabula, and I am the facilitator tonight.
I'm Aaliyah. I'm the event producer with Fabula as well. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm very excited to be here with everybody and to hear some wonderful stories.
Hi, I'm Nicola Costa. I am Fabula's Marketing Communications Associate, and I am very excited for tonight to be here with these beautiful people.
And I am Christina Flowers, and I'm a producer at TMJ4. I've been a producer for about 10 years, and yeah, that's about it.
Christina said she been doing this for a minute. Yeah. All right. So I just want to kind of open up the floor for Nicole to kind of give a background about why we chose to name the project the StoryTour, as well as the significance behind the project before we dive into some questions.
Let's see. So the idea started generating in my head probably during the COVID, when we first got the COVID announcement and like everything is shut down. We at Fabula still had a couple of story slams scheduled, and those, disappeared obviously because we can't, most of our events take place in bars in the evening. So the pandemic shut all that down. And suddenly we're left with having to do programming virtually. And so, we started transitioning. First, we started with story circles, where during the day and the evening, people could just hop in and share stories on themes that we created. And then the Black Lives Matter movement occurred. And so, Fabula has been, for a few years now, pretty aggressive when it comes to amplifying the voices of people of color. And so whether that's trying to get people on stage to share their stories, whether it's doing our workshops, our story circles, inviting our networks to those spaces, because for a long time, Fabula the spaces have been very white. And so when you have 3 women of color working on your team, it's, kind of like, okay, well, where are the people that look like us in these spaces? And so we launched an affinity space a couple years ago with Fuel Milwaukee with Corey Jo Biddle. And that was a Black affinity space. We're going to go into, is it our second year or third year now? Our third season now. And it's going to look kind of different this year. And so we're just creating more spaces to focus on the stories and voices of Black and Brown Indigenous folks in Milwaukee doing work that, we might not necessarily see these people in the spotlight all the time, but they are doing the work. And I think it's very important for us to focus on those stories, especially right now, in the times that we're in. And I know Christina through social media and friends, and then Kim Shine actually told a story on a stage not too long ago that we were all just kind of blown away by. And so because I'm a creative in the creative industry, I'm always looking for opportunities to highlight or advance, women of color in media and in the creative industry. So I put the ask out, and here we are. And so the name StoryTour just kind of popped in my head because it's kind of like, it's not just me coming up with these things. I'm working with Aaliyah and Michaela to figure out what stories we should be sharing on our platform, or who we can invite to these spaces. And so kind of like going throughout different areas of the city, or meeting people who live in different areas of the city, and working with them to share their stories and what they're doing. So that's why it's kind of like a tour, not like a normal tour, I guess, but a virtual tour now, and it's actually more accessible. So now more people can see and hear the people that we want to feature. So that's where the name StoryTour came from. It took me like a whole day of creative juice flowing in my head to try and figure something out, because yeah, at first it was just a document and I was like, come on, y'all, let's add our ideas to this document. And then it kind of just evolved from there. It might change later on, I'm not sure, but it is what it is right now, and we'll see.
Wow. Thank you, Nicole. And I personally love this project. My face lit up when you presented the idea in the team meeting, and I was like, we have to make this happen. This has to be a thing. We speak it into existence. And so I'm so happy that I'm able to see this manifest and be present in this process. And I'm so happy that we get to launch this with the lovely Miss Christina. So radiant, so beautiful, so awesome, so worthy. And I'm just really excited to be able to hear your stories and amplify your voice. So I have a few questions that I want to ask, if you don't mind. And I'm going to start off by asking you, what really inspired you to take the journey into journalism and media?
I actually have like a unique backstory. So in school, I actually was going to school to become a lawyer. I didn't decide until actually my final semester and to get into journalism. So I graduated from Marquette. So that's how I got here the first time around. And in my final semester, I decided that I didn't want to go to law school. I had done, by this time, 5 years, because I actually transferred from Syracuse University, and I was running track and I was just tired of school. And so I was talking with a friend who was working at Channel 12, and she recommended that I did an internship there. And I did, and I loved it. I actually did journalism though in high school, so I should preface that. So I wasn't completely, new to the concept. And I did also go to school for communications. So I did have the writing background too. But yeah, I fell in love with it. At Channel 12, I got to intern under Mike Anderson, your Toya Washington, your Kathy Michael B, actually Marquesa Tucker, who's now an activist. So I got to intern under like a lot of great, amazing people. And also Tanya Simpson, who actually is now in New York City, actually as a producer. So I just jumped into it, and I actually spoke with Colleen Henry, actually it was. She was going to law school at the time. And she said, Christina, law school's always gonna be there. Journalism, not so much. You got to get in when you can. And so I had my foot in the door, and so I jumped. And so now 10 years later, I'm still doing it. So.
And if law school is still sitting over there.
Shout out to your foot, shout out to the door. And I'm so happy that it brought you here. And yeah, that's amazing. And I'm really honored to see how that path really affected you and changed the worlds of people around you. My next question would be, how has the current climate right now affected your role in media? So we going through a pandemic, we uprising, we changing the world, one burning building, one protest at a time. How has that affected media and your work?
Well, I mean, we're going through multiple health crises. Like, let's be real, so not only COVID, we're also dealing with, the racial climate right now. Girl, if you could have heard the conversations that I was having in my newsroom, probably just maybe 2 years ago, I had concerns about being the only producer of color that was a producer. So in essence, the anchors, they read my words. And so of course I have a unique perspective compared to my white counterparts, and be it a lot of male, white counterparts. And so I had expressed concerns. And so now my voice is even more important than ever. Just because, yes, they are, bouncing ideas, bouncing questions, off of me because, this is an unfamiliar territory, especially for my white counterparts too. They do have to be, sensitive. They do have to listen, to the people of color in the room. And that didn't always happen. And hence I'm the only, person of color who is a producer, on my staff. So it's been a lot of pressure. And I think if you guys saw my Facebook post, I said, I hope I can hold it together during this interview, because it has been a lot of pressure. People were like, Christina, take time for yourself, take a mental health day, take a day off. I can't, because if I do, my voice is missing from the room, and mind you, I'm not the only person of color that's there, all day long, but for the majority of the day, of the work day. So I work a nine to 5. And, I feel like I have a very important voice, during that time frame. So it's been a lot. It's been really, really heavy. So.
And so in your work, what stories do you want to amplify? What stories do you feel like need to be told and need to be supported during this time?
Well, I'd say, the stories that are being amplified right now, the ones that have been suppressed, for years upon years upon years. Just recently, I was able to do not only the Pride special that you saw, on Tuesday. I did actually 2 of them. I did one last Tuesday. And then about a month ago, when the uprising first happened, I did a special on race and inequality. If somebody would have told me like 2 years ago that I was going to do that, like I would not have believed them, because it was definitely one of those real dirty, let's get real conversations. The people that I picked from the community to speak, they even knew, they were like, Christina, like, if you want to have a serious discussion, we can do this. We're not going to sugarcoat, we're not going to. And I think it made for like a very genuine conversation that I think resound with our viewers. And then also the people that I work with, it gave them things to think about, so definitely those stories that aren't always told, and some of them can be like happy stories. Some of them can be those compassionate, those empathetic stories. Like those are the ones that I'm most drawn to, the ones that are genuine, they feel genuine. People in the newsroom always laugh at the fact that a lot of stories that I don't necessarily like to run are stories that are people doing a good thing and they're supposed to, like a company giving a scholarship, like a major company. And it's like, yeah, you guys make a lot of money, so you're supposed to do that. So you want me to, take 15 seconds, take 30 seconds out of my newscast to say, good job, those are the kinds of stories that I'm not, so pressed to get on, my show. But I love those stories that, people going out of the way, just to be kind. Those are, the stories that I'm really drawn to.
If I may, just to back up a little bit, what are you doing to take some self-care? Because you are in that 9 to 5, you are making sure your voice is heard, and so many others are being heard. But what's the one thing that you can come home and be like, I'm going to go do that thing, and it's going to be your sigh of relief, your deep breath?
Right now, it's been so hard. I think there's like a sense of a little bit of depression, lately, unfortunately. And, the first step is recognizing it. I used to be very into yoga. Like I just have my yoga mat right beside the couch,
Mhm.
Right now, I've actually been really into reading more. I just got like a new picture book. So it's Brown Bohemians. I've been really into plants as of late. There's this great group on social media.
So great though.
I've seen it. Have you seen it?
What's it?
I
What's it?
haven't.
It's called, what is it called? It's the underground, I think underground plants. So basically white people will, propagate their plants and give it to Black people to create natural joy. So I'm a part of the group. Two really, really nice, girls like hit me up and were like, hey, we have plants, and, delivered it to the station. So plants have been bringing me a lot of joy lately. But yeah, mostly reading and plants.
I feel that. Like, and I think me and you first connected on social because we were both like hardcore into yoga at the time. And so I would like always watch your videos and gas you up, whatever. And then but then the plant thing, I too, I kill every kind of plant that ever comes my way. Like a succulent, my parents have sent me cactus from Texas. I have managed to kill those. And then, so Megan, our executive director, she dropped off little, I don't know what do you call those, like clippings or just remember?
They say propagate, like if you propagate.
Oh, is that what that means? Okay.
I think, yeah.
I don't know. So Megan dropped off, I don't even know what kind of plant it is. So she dropped some off to each of us. And then like, I wish I could show a picture because that thing is huge now because I've been taking care of it so well. And like, yeah, I have it out on my balcony and I like go out and water it like a little old lady at the end of the night. Like,
and speaking of white people giving people of color plants, I got this one from a different white person back in November, the little spider plant, and it just had 3 leaves. And now she's huge. So I totally feel you. You need that little extra life in the house.
Yes.
I want one of those clippings, Aaliyah.
I got you. Oh, and it looks like we have the fabulous Miss Kim Shine in our waiting room. So I'm going to bring her in.
Yay.
Let's all use our clap reactions to welcome Kim.
I don't know how to do
it. I'm so sorry. I'm kind of actually still in the midst of a story right now as we got moved around. So sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry about that.
That's amazing that you're still here with us.
Oh, jeez.
Black women do it all.
Well, thank you for joining us, Kim. In the midst of it. We are on like, I don't know what question. Michaela's taking the reins on the questioning. So I'm gonna just go ahead and Michaela do her thing.
Definitely. Hey, hi Kim. I will never forget your performance with X Fabula and how moved and blown away that I was with you. So I'm so happy to be with you today.
And I think I told you at the event, so I liked yours too. It was good.
Thank you. But yeah, I was just asking Christina, and I'd also like to know from you, what really kickstarted your journey into media and journalism?
Okay. Well, hi, Christina. I didn't say hi to you yet. Hi. Honestly, so I've been in the business, I think about 7 years now. Once I'm done with this contract here, it'll be full 8 years and whatnot. And I got into it because like I always wrote. I always loved telling stories, and I really like just people. So saw the morning news. I'm from Chicago, so I watched the morning news. It was really great. It's great now, but it was really great back then. I won't say like when, but it was great back then. And from there, I just decided, I want to be out, and I want to know what people are thinking. I want to be able to share how they feel, regardless of whether it's good or bad. Just whatever they want to share. That's what I want to know about. That's kind of it.
That's awesome. And given the current times, with the things that we're experiencing right now, how do you believe that that's shifted or affected your place in media and your role in media?
Man, you asked Christina this question too, right? Already? Okay.
Absolutely.
Whatever she said, I think I totally back it up, whatever she had to say, because this has been a super, super trying time for me. Like I said, I wanted to tell people's stories, but you don't necessarily know how deep their pain and their tragedy and their struggle and just their own personal movement. You don't know how far that goes until you are in this position and you are forced to go in places where you may or may not belong, or people they're just so enraged or just so passionate about it. So for us, we've got a really important role in this movement right now, in this place in history right now. And it's just about getting it right. And I know that people say you want to be on the right side of history, and for folks, for many people, that could be either like any side, but you always want to be on the one, I guess, where it's the most equitable. And for us, we are unbiased. And so we really have to make sure that we tell those stories in an equitable way, in a way that is unbiased, and just make sure that regardless of how far left or how far right people want to take the movement or take their opposition to the movement, that we just have to tell the truth. So I think now we're more important and more stressed out than ever before.
Well, if you're stressed out, Megan just said in our YouTube comments that she's happy to provide more plants.
I see Christina's doing the hands. I will take the plants.
We just got done talking about like being plant ladies, plant people, like taking care of plants right now. So that's when you like hopped into the conversation.
I have a little bitty, I went to Target a few weeks ago and I have like little bitty plants or little bitty pots, I should say. One for daisies, one for thyme and rosemary. And I popped out the daisy, but I think I killed it already. So I'm not really a pet parent.
Kim, I was gonna ask if it was real. What?
I don't know if you saw my Instagram, but yes, it was real. But it was real, and I water it, but I don't think it's a lie. That's all I'm gonna say.
I am the queen of genetic plants because I know myself. But my best friend just moved in and he's obsessed with watering plants, and so now we get to have actual plants in the house, because if it was left up to me, I love plants so much, but I'm so irresponsible. But okay. But yeah, so I guess my next question to both Christina and Kim, are there any particular stories that have resonated with you, or any particular stories that you've heard that really spoke to you and really impacted you during this time?
Kim, I'll let you go first because you're in the field.
Oh no, I was pointing to you. I'm still actually trying to think about it. Do you mean stories necessarily right now, or could it have been any kind of story?
Really specifically, like during this time, have you heard a story from someone that really influenced you or impacted or motivated you?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's been one particular story, but I will say one thing that I have been inspired by is all the art that is going up around the city. That has, I mean, that is just really beautiful. I don't care which side you're on. Just the fact that these people are coming out and saying, hey, I'm an artist, and I might not be the one marching on the streets, or I might not be the one who has the loudest voice and wants to get on the loudspeaker, but I do have a way that I want to tell you all what I feel. And actually, that's kind of the story that we're at right now. There's a street mural going up right here at Water and Kilbourne, right outside City Hall. And so we're at that one right now. But there's so many others, along the building, whether it's the local activists, whether it's just people in general who have unfortunately been killed. It's just that is really inspiring to me. What about you, Christina?
That's, again, and like Kim said, it's a hard one just because in our business, you know, regardless of how we feel personally, we do have to be unbiased, you know. I'd honestly say that I have been, however, like very inspired by the resiliency, you know, of both sides, you know, how passionate people are about the issues that are on the table, you know, whether you're on one side or the other. Another layer of, I'd almost say like abuse that I've actually suffered during this time is because of COVID, you know, there aren't very many people at the station. So I have the pleasure of answering a lot of your calls. And a lot of times, you know, there are viewers that disagree with our president, or there are viewers that agree with our president. There are viewers that agree with the protest. There are viewers that strongly disagree against the protest, agree against defunding the police, and strongly disagree with defunding the police. I've heard all of them, sometimes even cussed out, because I can control, you know, any of these issues. But it has been inspiring though, you know, just the resiliency and the passion that people have, you know, about these issues, and just the lengths that they're willing to go, you know, to see change. So I guess that's probably, like, out of all of this, like what I'll never forget, you know, 2020.
I don't think any of us are.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And to go off of that, you see, resiliency is probably, or just resilient is probably the word of 2020, because we have COVID, we have, you know, police brutality, we have Black Lives Matter, we have just everything possible just coming together in this one moment. And if we make it out of 2020 and we're all sane, let's hope 2021 everybody is peaceful and everybody is fair.
Absolutely.
That twice.
And yeah, and so we were talking to Christina a little bit earlier about some of like the self-care practices that you know, we've been taking in the midst of this. And I guess I just want to ask you, Kimberly, during this time, what are some ways that you've been able to hold space for yourself, and some ways that you've been able to recalibrate personally?
That's a really great question. And Christina might feel the same way, but I think I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest with you, because the side of media that people don't see, I mean, a lot of folks think we're fake. A lot of people think that we are biased and whatnot, but I don't think they get just how much we have to take in. You know, if we have to cover something that's completely against our views, we're still covering it and we're still showing your side. And then also, if we do something that we're in support of, we can't say it, but we're still going to be just as fair to that side as to the opposition. And people critique us so much. And sometimes I really just wish that folks could come on a tour with us. You know how people do ride-alongs? If you could ride along with us on one of our most stressful days, I think people would kind of understand that we're people too. And sometimes when we're telling these stories, it's a struggle for us to just kind of make peace with what we've just heard, or what we've just been told, or what somebody has just screamed at us because they're angry, you know? So to answer your question, I've done I tried to work out, and that helped a little bit. I started back running, that helped. I have done a lot of FaceTimes and Zooms and things like that. I had to go see my dad, so I have been home a few times. You know, as long as my dad's comfortable with it, the people who I see, as long as they're comfortable, we're social distancing, and, you know, things are fine. I've had to do that because I've had like breakdowns throughout this whole thing. And like, people don't see that part. People don't see the fact that we're crying. People don't see that we are just trying to do our jobs. You know, when we got into this, nobody knew a pandemic was going to happen. Nobody knew that all these people were going to be killed, like one after another. You know, like I said, regardless of which side you're on, it's just a lot. And for us to have these jobs and to have such a stronghold on what people think and how people think, I mean, we're not playing with your lives. We're just trying to do our jobs and tell your story. So I just had to get away from it sometimes. That's all. However I can. Yeah.
And so in the midst of everything, um, and having to have that unbiased kind of like stance to be able to amplify the whole story and encapsulate the entire truth of everything. Have you found yourself wanting to amplify particular stories? Were there any ones that you personally wanted to hold space for?
I don't think that's a hard question, because it's a question that kind of would put me down a biased path. And for me, I just want to make sure that if you have something to say, and and it is impactful, that we say it. If you're a little kid and you're out here, why are you out here? If you're painting a mural, why are you painting it? So I don't think there's been one voice or one group or one person that I've chosen or that I've wanted to amplify. It's more so, what else can we say, or what hasn't been told? I think that's the way to look at it. It's like, so we have all these parts of the movement that we've covered, but what part of the protest have we not, or what part of the painting have we not? So I think that's more of the way to look at it. Like, what else? What other voices can we tell? Stories.
Thank you.
Michaela, I was gonna say, and I don't look at this as being, coming from a biased standpoint. I also have a degree in African American Studies. So to be able to actually write systematic racism on a banner literally gave me chills. Like I literally teared up when what I was describing, the reason, the African American community was getting hit so hard was because of, at the root of the issue, systematic racism. That's not bias, that's fact, to be able to amplify and talk about what that looks like. Right now we're in a series where we have a reporter that is dedicated to talking about on a daily, because it's been 3 weeks, and every single day, 5 days a week, he has touched on a different issue of systematic racism, to allow that, the public to have a greater understanding, to gain more empathy for what is happening, and hoping that they will then want to lead the charge to change that. I think, for me, like, hands down, and to know that, like, I'm helping with that, and I have a hand in that, is probably, like, just the biggest effect that I think I'm having, on this whole situation right now.
I'm not gonna lie, I do feel that way too. I'm proud that I get to also amplify those stories. For both Christina and I, like, those aren't the only stories that we are going to tell. We also will tell the other side, but to be Black women and to be able to tell Black stories in this way during this time when they really do matter the most, it's like no words for it, honestly.
You're like literally have your hand right firsthand experience in history right now. Like you two are like that's amazing. That's just, and who would have thought, like, at the beginning of 2020 that that would be happening right now for you? Like we just saw Kim on stage telling a story. What was that, for February?
And I'm like, oh my gosh, can we just go back? You know, I mean, we need this progress, but it was much simpler, you know. Jeez.
It was like in that little time frame, you know, where, you know, you told this amazing story on stage, and then here I am inviting you for this now here, and it's like how much change has happened. So at first, I just want to say thank you both for like doing this and taking time out of your busy days to talk about like the media right now and your roles in it, because I feel it's like super important right now for you to be able to share what it is you're experiencing to a larger audience. So thank you.
And Nicole, one more thing I wanted to add though, and it's like, I don't want to go back. I really don't. Like, I don't want normal. Like I write it all the time on social media. I don't want normal. I didn't like normal. Normal was not, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Like I really love, and I will say I love the direction that I see journalism heading right now, telling those stories, you know, telling those stories of equality. It's just, it's going to make the world a better place. It really is. I mean, you're going to have your crime, you're going to have your grime, you're going to have, you know, politics, you're going to have, you know, all of those things, but being able to amplify those voices that make our community what it is today, it's just, I mean, I love it. I love being able to do that right now.
But for y'all to be able to tell those stories from your lens, you know, is what's super important. So we're not letting other people share our own stories. Like as a Latina woman, as a Black woman, we're not letting white folks continuously tell our stories or our words. And now it's like in our hands, and you two being at the forefront of that and having that, like that say is like super important. So like, I'm always talking about representation. Like for a million years, I've been talking about this. And so like, you know, you're a producer, and Kim, you're, you know, in front of the camera. So how does it feel to like, how important is it for you to, and I'm sorry, I'm adding questions to this at this point, but I think it's really important to talk about representation, and I don't think I put those questions into this at the beginning, but it's just kind of like coming to me now that we're talking. So like the importance of representation in the media, especially because it is very white male dominated. And it's super hard, like even for me breaking into the marketing, you know, after I got my degree, I couldn't get a job anywhere. Like nobody wanted to hire a brown woman, you know? And it's like, more Black and brown women need to be in these fields, in communications, in media, in advertising. So I want to ask you to, like, you know, how do you feel about that?
Nicole, I will say, I mean, I know I started off, you know, saying that it's very difficult, you know, being the only voice. But I will say my company, you know, does make it their mission to make sure that there is a diverse, you know, chorus of voices, you know, that are being heard. I do recognize that for my company. And I mean, they are the first ones also to admit, like, can they be better? Absolutely. You know, like, i.e. having, you know, me as the only producer, but I have seen it every single year. They are working very hard, you know, to make sure that we have a diverse group of people, you know, in the newsroom. A lot of it also comes down to interest, you know. I go into the classrooms each year, you know, to talk to little kids, you know, to tell them that about my career and what I do, because a lot of times all they see are the people in front of the camera. And so, you know, I try to, you know, get that interest, catch that interest at a young age, so that they can know that this is something that they can actually go into. Kim, do you want to take it from there?
I actually was like natural, pass me the ball. But that what you just said is super important, because you can be in front of the camera as much as you want, but and my dad has even told me this when I was a little kid, like the power comes from people who are behind the camera. The power comes from the people who are writing, who make the decisions. And I mean, as a reporter and as anchors and whatnot, we can pitch, but many times you're not the final say on what happens. It's the producer, it's the news director, it's the evening or morning or dayside manager. And I think what we really need is more Black and brown managers, because we can push for, and maybe as a producer, I've been a producer, I was a producer before, but I guess in both roles, we can push these stories as much as we want to, but if we don't have people who can actually see the foresight or have the foresight to know that, okay, this does matter, we'll keep being whitewashed. But I think it is important, like Christina said, that she does go into the classrooms, and I would like to do that with you. So take me with you. I think it's important too, because they also need to know, outside of interest, fatigue is real in this business. And I've had it before. I've thought about leaving the business just because there is so much pressure, especially if you are the only one, or if it's only two Black women or two Black and brown women and no Black and brown men, like you really do need that balance. So it's so important to have representation.
And I'll also note that Milwaukee is actually very unique in the fact that we actually do have two male, news directors in our market of color. So the news director at Channel 12 is African-American, and the news director at Kimberly Station, 58, is African-American too. So they're unicorns. You don't see that ever happen. They're very unheard of. And I aspire as well to go into management. So, that's hopefully the track that I'm headed.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, yesterday Netflix announced a Black woman as their chief marketing officer, first ever, like, at Netflix. And I had never heard of that title before. And I was like, I'm so inspired. Oh my God. And I was like, that's next level right there. I'm like, and I would never have known that, like, had I not seen, all the retweets and things like that. And come to find out she's like this super powerhouse in the marketing field. And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing to me. And it's super inspirational. And, being able to see that in like my time is just like, it's inspirational. And so I'm in awe of you too, and fangirling, obviously. So, so yeah, I'll let,
Thank you.
anyone else, anyone else here want to talk? Cause I'm like, okay.
I mean, just being a witness to the work that you both are doing is incredible to me. I too go into schools and try to tell kids that, hey, you're an expert. According to Malcolm Gladwell, it only takes 10,000 hours to become one. You've definitely lived 10,000 hours, so you're an expert on life, So to have other Black and brown women, especially darker skinned women, actively being at the forefront, being at the helm, having their voices heard is so imperative to me. And it really brings me so much joy to see, because too many times our stories not only whitewashed, but they're lightwashed, like it gets very difficult to be a monolith and be pushed in the back at the same time. And it's you juggle that every day, every time you step into your station, every time you walk outside, because as people of color, we don't have a choice but our entire lives to be political. Everything we encounter is political. Just going to the grocery store is political, because I live in a food desert, and that's because of redlining. And so we have this constant pushback at every angle, and to see beautiful women like yourself constantly pushing forward and making sure that representation is there, especially for me as a non-binary person, seeing that story with El Halo just made me glow. Like it's such a refreshing thing to see being put at the forefront. And it's so incredible to have you both there putting in that work for other young people, because, we need good examples of how to get there. And sometimes the glass ceiling is just not having the representation. So I truly applaud you both for continuing to do this work, because it does take a toll. And, you know, if you don't have that support system, you get kind of stuck. So I'm happy to be a support system for folks. If you ever want to tell me a story, I got you.
No, I do want to say that the natural hair movement that has happened with Black women and even Black men in this business, I am so happy that that is finally, and I'm actually really frustrated. I'm really angry that it's finally catching on. I've been natural for about, well, maybe a long time now, but that's because, you know, moms and dads want to straighten your hair and stuff. When I had my own choice, I went natural. And for the longest time, I always thought I need to keep it straight, or I need to wear a wig, or things like that. But that's representation too, in the smallest form. But that right there shows a little girl, a little boy, that you are just fine. And you can tell your story, you can tell everybody else's story. And just because your hair looks a certain way, it doesn't mean that the person can't get the news from you. Doesn't mean that they can't be informed. And that's the thing that just irritated me so much until this point, because when I first started my job, or my career, I should say, I had a news director tell me, no, you can't wear your braids on the side. You can't wear your curls. And this was just a few years ago. This was still, this was after, like, post 2010. And that mindset was still there. And little kids don't need to know that. They need to be empowered. They need to know that you can do whatever you want to do. And as long as you're fair and accurate and you're telling the facts, like Christina said, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I think that it's so amazing that the two of you have really been intentional about encapsulating the emotion and the heart of it all. I often find myself wondering, like, if my ancestors had like lingo and like what their favorite colors were, and like, what their favorite song was. And like, I just really think that documenting and humanizing the people and the emotions of the people are going to be so imperative to the generations to come. And I just really appreciate the work that you guys have invested in just making that present in the way that we see the media and the things that we view, and that we're not just looking at the struggle. We're not just looking at the hard, heartbreaking, gut-wrenching parts of our existence and our history, because it's so imperative to talk about the whole and to encapsulate everything. And I'm just really honored. I'm just really moved. And from somebody who has wanted to do journalism for a long time, you guys are awesome examples to me, even. And I'm just so smiling cheek to cheek just because this is great.
Just for the record, you are a journalist. Your blog is wonderful and it is very truthful. So
Yes.
I appreciate you. And I actually only have one more question, and that's for both Christina and Kim. Is there anything that you would like to say that folks may not know about you, or things that you might want to share about yourself that others may not know? Oh, and I see that Kim also wanted to add something. So Kim, definitely, if you like.
I'll add it after. Christina, you go first.
You literally just caught me off guard. I saw the Kim wanted to add something. I was like, oh, I have time to think.
No. I'm sorry, because you sent that question, Nicole, and I was thinking too, like, I don't know what I want to share. So I guess we're both still kind of thinking about that.
It could be a fun fact. It can be anything you want.
I can give you time to think, Christina. I'll say what I was going to say. One thing I wanted to add, you, Michaela, you asked about like any particular types of stories that I like to bring to the forefront. I have a lot of different interests, as I'm sure Christina does. But one thing that I do enjoy telling is just the more feature stories, the more positive stories. I know that life is not all berries and juice and pink and green or whatever, but those stories really do matter. And even if they have a hard tone to them, like people coming into recovery, sorry, even if it's something like that has a hard base, but there's still a positive lining there, those stories really, really matter, especially now too. So Go, Christina.
Have you either of you heard of Carved in Stone? A young journalist by the name of Naisha.
Naisha, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to plug her and put her on your radar. She's amazing.
Naisha has been working very, very hard. I've known her since she was junior at UW. So I think that's when we first met. So yeah, I've seen her graduate and receive tons of awards and accolades for her work. She is hungry, and yeah, she's definitely that next wave of journalism. Absolutely.
Well, you guys put me on because I didn't know. So somebody send me a link or something.
I will. I'll send
WBMA.
Yeah.
Kim. WBMA. Wisconsin Black Journalists Association.
Yeah, get back. But yes,
she's a member.
Back into being a member, guys.
So I'm just gonna put you on blast a little bit. Just a little bit.
No, I can't even joke. I've fallen off to myself a little bit, but you know, it's definitely a great network of Black journalists in the community. So
it is. Oh yes, it really is. Okay, now don't quit messing around. Tell your secret fact.
I don't know.
Yeah, Dante McFadden says, "Tell us your secrets."
I guess one thing that's unique about me, and I guess this offers perspective about me and my love for African American history and Black culture. Actually, I won't even say Black culture, but just culture in general. Whether it be it, Asian culture or, the LGBTQ community. Like, it's just, I just have a thirst for, knowing more. And I think it honestly comes from my parents. You don't know me well. A lot of people here in Wisconsin don't, because I'm from Pittsburgh. So that's where my parents stay. And they're actually older. So my mother is originally from Chicago, and she actually viewed Emmett Till's body and the casket whenever, his mother put him on display after he was, lynched. So just hearing stories from my mother and my father grew up in Mississippi, Gulfport, Mississippi. So he's a Bayou baby. And he's actually very light skinned. And so he passed, but of course had, Black friends, saw lots of lynchings, and just hearing the stories that he would tell about, the Jim Crow era, and just, stories that literally were not that long ago, but a long time ago. I actually would hear firsthand, from people who have experienced, as many of us have through our grandparents, but my parents have given me, I guess, a unique perspective, just knowing that if we don't learn from our history, we're bound to repeat it. So that's not that juicy. I'm sorry, Dante. That's
heavy. Like now I gotta go heavy too.
Here, I'll go light. So back in the day, right after I graduated from Marquette, when I was working at CBS 58, I made pennies. I had 4 or 5 jobs. And one of those jobs, I was a dancer for the arena football team.
What? You were?
I have a dancing background as well. So I did it 1 season. That's lighter, Kim. There you go.
Okay, so we need a dark and a light from you too, Kim.
I know. Oh, I already had my light because I was, my days were stressful enough. I got enough light, enough darkness here. But we'll start with my dark. So my mom passed away when I was a kid. So I have a passion. I've tried to do things with this, and maybe I need to reach out to more people, but I do have a passion for children who have gone through trauma like that. not necessarily just parental death, but have just gone through trauma. My upbringing, I went through like multiple traumas back to back to back. And how my mind is still the way it is, I have no clue. But I think it's really important. Well, I'll say my dad definitely helped with that. My dad, my friends, my family. But I just have a passion for reaching those kids and helping them kind of get through and talk through and letting them know that there is success, there is happiness on the other side. Because a lot of times when you go through trauma, you can't see that. And yeah, I think that's my dark. I just really would like to pursue that a little bit more, to just get to those kids, to get to that community. You guys know I like to write, so that's the thing. Writing helped me a lot with that. Even though the piece that I did for you guys,
you need to share that piece. Share that piece right now with everybody.
oh goodness. I'll do it for later. But that piece had nothing to do with trauma, but it was definitely a guilt.
I remember what that piece was about.
I would never forget that piece.
Inquiring minds would like to know.
They ain't putting that one on CBS 50.
I'll do it for you later, Christina. But my light one is just really simple. I mean, I like to dance and I like French fries. That's my light one. I'm like obsessed with French fries, but they have to be the right kind of French fries. Like I'm very particular. So that's my very light story.
Oh, McDonald's or Checkers?
Are you
Checkers all the way, okay? Checkers,
Right.
Wendy's, McDonald's is like, there's nothing else around.
What? I love McDonald's French fries with no salt, because then they come out fresh and crispy.
Yeah,
I've never had Checkers fries though.
I'm not a big fry eater.
He said never, Kim. We're gonna have to change that.
No, I said never.
No, Nicole said never.
We're gonna have to change.
I live right down the street from a Checkers. I've never had Checkers before.
I don't think I have either.
Okay, I'm gonna take you, Christina, but Nicole, you need to go after this because Checkers is great. And
All right, you got Christina, I got Nicole. We're getting y'all some Checkers.
Yeah, in your life.
Never had it.
It will change your life.
Really?
I'm telling you.
Yes.
That's funny.
You got
That's
30
so
minutes on a lunch break, and Checkers is 20 minutes. So you're trying to figure out how fast you can get there.
Is that good?
Yes.
I'm telling you. Like
Checkers did not sponsor this video, but
But if you want to give us some fries, no, I'm just kidding. And now that they have the chicken bites, the fries and chicken bites, come on, man. Just come on.
Checkers, we definitely will market for coupons. So hit us up. But no, that's I just want to say like I love this. I appreciate this so much, and I wouldn't have wanted to launch this any other way. And this has been great. I thank you all. I think that these stories are necessary on all of our ends, and all of us have a role to play in this. And existing as women of color is already an imperative role, an imperative part of the work. Just being ourselves. So the extra steps that we take are just so beautiful and so necessary and so wonderful. So yeah, that's all I have for everyone. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you guys for loving on Black and Brown and women of color, because just having this type of platform to amplify those voices is just amazing. I'm honored. I mean, honored. I was really surprised that you guys asked me. But it's just, you guys are doing an amazing thing with this, and I'm excited to see where this series takes you. I can't wait to hear the other stories.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was honored too, super surprised, because storytelling is just, it's like a secret culture that people just don't respect enough, in my opinion. And the fact that you all, you're talented storytellers, or at least you understand what this is about, and you guys chose us to launch it. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
we're more grateful to have y'all. I mean, For real, every drop in the bucket really does make a difference. But y'all are incredible people doing incredible things, and they might be your everyday, but somebody can't even fathom what you do, you know? So like, we really, really appreciate y'all, and just appreciate y'all being willing to share your stories with us, because you didn't have to be here, and you did. You chose to spend this time with us. So thank you so much.
Yes. And now I have Kim's phone number in my phone. So I'm going to be texting you and stuff. And I have Christina on social media, but you can send me your text too if you want. And now I feel like we're good friends. So I'm gonna send you
now.
I'm gonna send you memes and stuff.
Nicole, you should have my number.
That works.
I know, as many times as we've communicated.
I'm pretty sure I've texted you though.
Have you? Oh my God, I don't save phone numbers, so it's really bad. Ask my coworkers. I'm really bad.
You still don't have my phone number.
I was like, who is this?
If you see the strange Pittsburgh number pop up on your phone, that's me.
Yeah, let's get together. Let's go get some Cajun French fries one day.
Yes.
Let's go
Yes.
to
Yeah.
Checkers,
Okay,
Five
Michaela.
Guys.
We shall do that post-COVID once that happens for sure. I would love that.
And big thank you to Michaela for hosting
Yes.
us this evening. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add about that is that we are hoping to launch our own podcast soon. So, and Michaela, we're hoping Michaela will lead that with our guests and whatnot. So much like Christina, I do the behind the scenes stuff, and I don't like being on camera and all that good stuff. So Michaela is definitely getting her feet wet here with hopefully we get on the radio soon, and we will have a lot of fun with that, and people can tune in that way in the future. So that's next level right there.
And I'm taking my notes from you, Christina and Kim. I'm taking my notes from you too. Your smiles and then your poise and all of that. I'm like, okay, let me write this down. So I appreciate all of you for that too.
Yes.
It was a pleasure to have y'all tonight. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Thank you to everybody who tuned in on live. We love you. You can catch a rerun of this on our Facebook and our YouTube, and probably even our Instagram. So stay tuned for that. The next one is coming your way very soon. So stay on our social medias to get updated on that. Tune into our newsletter. If you're not already signed up, go to our website, sign up for our newsletter so you can get all the information on everything that's happening. We are still socially distancing, because COVID is out here, but we're going to stay connected, y'all. We're going to make sure that we keep having conversations, important conversations with real people in real spaces in real time, because change has to happen like this.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.